Mother Teresa has long been revered as an icon of humility and selfless dedication to humanity. Yet, few knew that behind her constant smile, she endured silent suffering for decades. Just before her death, she revealed terrifying secrets that shook the world. What you're about to discover will send shivers down your spine. Prepare yourself as we explore Mother Teresa's heartbreaking ordeals and the shocking truths that challenge everything we thought we knew about her. Chapter 1: Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, also known as Saint Teresa of Calcutta, was a Catholic nun and missionary who dedicated her life to serving the poorest of the poor in India. In 1950, she founded the Missionaries of Charity, a congregation committed to caring for the sick, hungry, homeless, and dying. With her sisters, she opened orphanages, hospices, and clinics, providing compassionate care worldwide, including in India, Africa, and America. Her life was marked by charity, compassion, self-denial, and devotion to God. She even refused personal recognition and monetary rewards, including the Nobel Peace Prize money, which she donated to support the Missionaries of Charity's orphanages and elderly homes. But was her life truly perfect, both spiritually and physically? Mother Teresa's global impact and influence led many to perceive her as flawless. However, like many people of virtue, she was not immune to spiritual struggles. The devil often attempts to undermine such figures, afflicting their faith. For Mother Teresa, this led many to question whether her faith and works were as unwavering as they seemed. After her death, writings revealed a much deeper and more complex spiritual journey. Mother Teresa, like many saints of the past, experienced what is known as the dark night of the soul, a spiritual crisis filled with doubt, emptiness, and a sense of separation from God. This concept, famously written about by Spanish mystic Saint John of the Cross, describes periods of intense inner struggle. Saint Francis of Assisi, another beloved saint known for his devotion to God and love of nature, is also believed to have experienced this dark night. Though historical accounts of his experience are scarce, it is said that he, too, faced moments of deep spiritual desolation. As more of Mother Teresa's writings came to light, they revealed a woman whose struggles and doubts were much more profound than the public ever realized. What were these terrifying revelations? Keep reading to find out. In his pursuit of a closer relationship with God, Saint Francis may have experienced moments of feeling abandoned, doubtful, or spiritually dry during his dark nights. Despite these challenges, he endured with faith, perseverance, and prayer, eventually emerging with a deeper understanding of God's love and a stronger commitment to his spiritual journey. But will the same hold true for Mother Teresa? Mother Teresa's dark night of the soul refers to a prolonged period of spiritual desolation, during which she felt an overwhelming sense of emptiness and doubt in her faith. Despite these inner struggles, which lasted for decades, she continued her humanitarian work, even while feeling disconnected from God. Her perseverance through this profound spiritual trial has cemented her as an enduring symbol of faith and resilience. For decades, Mother Teresa's life was marked by internal battles, hopelessness, and desolation as she wrestled with doubts about God's existence, the meaning of her faith, and whether her efforts were truly helping humanity. These inner turmoils were revealed in her private letters and conversations with her confessors, uncovering a hidden side of her life that surprised even those closest to her. Mother Teresa passed away on September 5, 1997. Since then, new revelations about her inner life have emerged, shocking many who believed they knew her well. Behind the radiant external presence that people saw, her inner world was a vast, empty cavern, zones of almost complete darkness. This led her to once exclaim in a letter to a priest, "If I ever become a saint, I will surely be one of darkness." However, this darkness was not depression or despair, it was a reflection of the overwhelming light of God's presence, a light so intense it felt like absence or even abandonment. On May 17, 1964, she described her inner state with these astonishing words: "To be in love and yet not to love, to live by faith and yet not to believe. To spend myself and yet be in total darkness." Years earlier, on February 28, 1957, she wrote, "There is so much contradiction in my soul. Such deep longing for God, so deep that it is painful, continual suffering, and yet not wanted by God, repulsed, empty, no faith, no love, no zeal, and heaven means nothing. It looks like an empty place, yet there is this torturing longing for God." These revelations about the night that Mother Teresa endured for so long have cast new light on the depth of her spiritual struggles. One remarkable secret that emerged after Mother Teresa's death in 1997 was one she had tried for years to keep hidden with her characteristic modesty. In addition to being a woman of immense practical kindness, she also received a series of mystical visions and divine expressions. These profound experiences occurred just before she began her mission in the slums, serving the poorest of the poor. Jesus himself asked her, in vivid terms, to change her life entirely and establish a new religious society of nuns, known as the Missionaries of Charity. I want Indian nuns, missionaries of charity, who would be my fire of love amongst the poor, the sick, the dying, and the little children, Jesus told her in 1946. In one of her writings, Mother Teresa confessed, in all my prayers and holy communions, he is continually asking, wilt thou refuse? Frightened by the enormity of what was being asked of her, and aware of her own limitations, she humbly replied, my own Jesus, what you ask is beyond me, I can hardly understand half of the things you want. I am unworthy, I am sinful, I am weak. Yet, despite her hesitation, she later heard Jesus reassuring her, you are, I know, the most incapable person, weak and sinful, but just because you are that, I want to use you for my glory. Wilt thou refuse? His words echoed again, urging her to fear not, even if the whole world were against her. During her darkest moments, Mother Teresa felt an overwhelming emptiness and loneliness, even as she continued to care for the poor and sick in Calcutta. She described this period as living in a state of darkness, feeling that God was distant or even absent. Yet, despite these inner battles, Mother Teresa persisted in her work, with unshaken trust in God's plan. She often marveled at being chosen for such work, expressing her astonishment on several occasions. In this age, more than in any other, God wants to use nothing, she declared. The word nothing became a recurring theme for her. In one conversation, she remarked, Father Paul, when you discover you're nothing, rejoice. She explained that being nothing wasn't about low self-esteem but about the profound realization of one's humility before God. In her private writings, Mother Teresa questioned whether her strong faith, which attracted so many people to God, was deceiving them. She was bewildered by the contrast between the blessings that seemed to flow through her to others and the darkness and emptiness she felt within herself. When I speak to the sisters and people about God and His work, it brings them light, joy, and courage. But I get nothing out of it. Inside, it is all dark, she once admitted. This confusion persisted for years, with her writing in 1961, I don't know what is happening to me, and earlier that same year, my life seems so contradictory. Despite these struggles, she never lost her deep trust in God's love. Though she faced trials and endured darkness, she knew she was still His little one, His beloved. In 1983, during a serious illness, she composed a meditation that ended with the heartfelt declaration, Jesus, I love with my whole heart, with my whole being. I have given Him all, even my sins, and He has espoused me to Himself in tenderness and love. Mother Teresa's experience of the dark night of the soul is now seen as a testament to her faith and willingness to endure suffering for the sake of others. Her journey through doubt and spiritual crisis reminds us that even the most devout individuals can face moments of inner turmoil. Yet, her ability to continue serving others with love and compassion, despite these struggles, stands as a powerful testament to her strength of character and unwavering commitment to her calling. However, one might ask, why would a woman who so passionately loved God endure such suffering? Even with her immense devotion, people found flaws in her life, and she faced emotional and psychological torment, along with endless controversial claims. Chapter 2, Controversies about Mother Teresa continues this exploration of her remarkable life. Mother Teresa, though a small woman, had an undeniably commanding presence. She became a global icon whose humanitarian work touched lives across continents, from Asia to America and Africa. However, despite her renowned reputation, questions arose about her true intentions. Was she as perfect as she appeared? Did she genuinely mean well for the people under her care? Dr. Jack Prager, a British doctor who began treating the poor for free in 1972, encountered Mother Teresa's work through a BBC documentary. Moved by her apparent generosity, he started working alongside her but soon realized that much of her reputation was built on misconceptions. Dr. Prager noted that the conditions in Mother Teresa's ashram lacked proper medical care. Patients had shaved heads, no chairs, and slept on stretcher beds reminiscent of the First World War. The facilities lacked basic necessities like painkillers, and reusable needles were dulled from overuse. Despite receiving millions in donations, medical care was minimal. One heartbreaking example involved a young woman with severe burns, who had no access to painkillers. Dr. Prager managed to smuggle morphine to ease her suffering. He also witnessed the neglect of a 15-year-old boy who could have survived a simple kidney operation but was denied help. When asked why he couldn't be taken to a hospital, Mother Teresa responded that if one person was helped, everyone would expect the same. Despite having enough funds to run a modern hospital, her priority was not medical care. She once remarked, "We are not social workers, the work is only a means to put our love for Christ into action. Even donated medical supplies were left unused. Mother Teresa's spiritual mission was deeply tied to suffering. Could this have been influenced by her own spiritual struggles? Mary Johnson, who worked as a missionary for 20 years before leaving the organization, wrote about the harsh conditions for the nuns. They were required to live in poverty, beg for alms, and were only allowed 2 sets of saris. Personal freedom was restricted, as they were not permitted to bathe daily, go out alone, watch TV, read newspapers, or even talk with coworkers about anything other than work. Family visits were limited to a single letter per month. These claims, though controversial, came from individuals who had worked closely with Mother Teresa. How did she navigate such controversies, and could there be any truth to them? In the face of endless criticism, Mother Teresa's commitment to her faith remained unwavering. Over time, she began to view her struggles as something different from the traditional dark night of the soul. She saw it as an integral part of her vocation. Even as a young woman in Skopje, she had longed to serve the poor. After becoming a missionary nun, she spent her Sundays helping the slum dwellers near the Loreto compound. Upon receiving her call within a call, she committed the rest of her life to the poor, the sick, the lonely, and the dying, embracing their poverty as her own. For Mother Teresa, her work was a calling from Christ, who she believed asked her to minister to the poor in his distressing disguise. She realized that her inner poverty and darkness were her way of sharing in Christ's suffering. Remembering the vow she made in 1942 to never deny God anything he asked of her, she understood that this also meant embracing his withdrawal. She often said, "We must know exactly what is in our yes to God." Yes means, I surrender, totally, fully, without counting the cost. For her, this surrender meant accepting whatever God gave and giving whatever he chose to take away. Mother Teresa's life was marked by her acceptance of the burden of Christ's passion. She understood her inner darkness as an inevitable aspect of her calling, known as the call within a call. Remarkably, she even grew to love this darkness, seeing it as a very, very small part of Jesus' darkness and pain on earth. Despite her solemn mission of serving the poorest of the poor, she was not without warmth. Mother Teresa was known for her lively sense of humor, and nothing pleased her more than seeing the joy in the young women who joined her congregation to work for the poor. In one instance, she wrote about a group of missionary of charity aspirants in 1966, the Epiphany aspirants, 34 in number, young, healthy, full of zeal, make the house vibrate with laughter. I have had little chance to enjoy their company, but I can hear them even in the train, as my heart and mind are very close to them. Mother Teresa was always quick to catch a joke or see humor in any situation. In one letter, she humorously complained to a friend, saying, "When I write regularly, the sisters say I am in first class, if less, second and third class. When I neglect them, they say I am in 0 class. I think I will also put you in 0 class if you don't write." Her wit also shone through in a talk delivered in 1981, where she recalled being asked what she would do when she was no longer Mother General. She quipped, "I am first class in cleaning toilets and drains." One day, Mother Teresa narrated a dream she had during her early months working in the slums of Calcutta. She described finding herself at the gates of paradise, filled with joy. But as she was about to enter, St. Peter blocked her way, saying, "You can't come in here, there are no slums up here." Mother Teresa, furious, replied, "All right, I will go back. But I'm going to return here, Peter, and I will fill this heaven of yours with all my people from the slums." She shared this story in October 1994, laughing with her eyes from start to finish. But how did Mother Teresa come to be recognized as a saint? Was she truly deserving of the title? Her legacy is profound and enduring. She inspired countless individuals across the world to follow in her footsteps, committing themselves to make a difference in the lives of the marginalized. Her most significant contribution was her unwavering commitment to serving those society had abandoned. Along with her sisters, she ministered to those living in extreme poverty, providing food, shelter, medical care, and love. To her, every person deserved dignity and respect, and she worked tirelessly to alleviate their suffering. Mother Teresa's work also went beyond physical care. She believed the greatest poverty was not material but spiritual. She often spoke of loneliness and spiritual emptiness as the true forms of poverty. Through her selfless service, she inspired others to cultivate empathy, kindness, and love. Her message of love, forgiveness, and humility continues to inspire those seeking to build a more compassionate world. Mother Teresa also advocated for peace and justice globally. As a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, she spoke against war, violence, and injustice, calling for reconciliation and understanding among nations and religions. She believed that true peace could only be achieved through love and compassion and encouraged individuals to work together for the common good. Even after her death on September 5, 1997, her legacy lives on through the Missionaries of Charity, which continues to serve the poor and needy in over 130 countries worldwide. The organization runs homes for the sick, elderly, and homeless, as well as orphanages, schools, and soup kitchens. Mother Teresa's life created a ripple effect of kindness and generosity that transcends borders and continues to inspire generations. Mother Teresa's legacy shines as a beacon of hope and compassion in a world often marked by suffering and division. Her life reminds us that even the smallest acts of kindness can profoundly impact the lives of others. Her legacy challenges us to look beyond ourselves and reach out to the most vulnerable, embodying the true spirit of service and love she lived throughout her life. In her final years, Mother Teresa bore the daily burden of poor health and physical suffering. Just months before her death, she suffered from heart failure and pneumonia, lying in a hospital bed, unable to speak due to a bronchial tube inserted to help her breathe. Though she tried to communicate by writing on slips of paper, she was too weak. Finally, with all her strength, she scrawled the words, "I want Jesus." Mass was celebrated in her hospital room, and she was able to take a small amount of consecrated wine. Given her decades of living without a sense of Christ's presence, it is not far-fetched to believe she also longed for the darkness of God's withdrawal to end. After over 50 years of reliving Christ's passion, she accepted her suffering as God's will but longed for it to cease. In 1962, during the second decade of her feeling of abandonment, Mother Teresa wrote something that foreshadowed her later understanding of her vocation: "If I ever become a saint, I will surely be one of darkness. I will continually be absent from heaven, to light the light of those in darkness on earth." This extraordinary sentiment revealed her willingness to forego the joy of heaven for the sake of those struggling in spiritual darkness. Despite her life of relentless service, Mother Teresa considered her work on earth only a preparation for her true mission after death. Mother Teresa's canonization on September 4, 2016, marked the culmination of a long and careful process, recognizing her extraordinary life of service to the poor and marginalized. Born Agnes Gonksa Bojaxiou in 1910 in Skopje, Macedonia, she felt called to serve others at a young age. At 18, she joined the Loreto Sisters and traveled to India, where she took her final vows and became Sister Teresa. Her journey to sainthood began in the slums of Kolkata, where she founded the Missionaries of Charity in 1950, dedicating her life to serving the poorest of the poor, including the sick, orphaned, and dying. Her tireless work earned her global recognition, including the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. Despite her fame, Mother Teresa remained humble, focused on her mission of love and compassion. She famously said, "Not all of us can do great things. But we can do small things with great love." This philosophy guided her life and inspired many to follow in her footsteps. The canonization process began soon after her death in 1997, with the Catholic Church rigorously examining her life, writings, and works. 2 miracles were attributed to her intercession: the healing of a tumor in an Indian woman and the healing of a Brazilian man with multiple brain abscesses. On September 4, 2016, Pope Francis declared Mother Teresa a saint in a solemn ceremony at the Vatican. Her canonization was celebrated by people of all faiths and backgrounds who admired her unwavering commitment to serving the poor and vulnerable. Now known as Saint Teresa of Calcutta, she continues to inspire millions worldwide with her example of love, compassion, and selflessness. Mother Teresa's canonization was a fitting tribute to a remarkable woman whose life embodied faith, service, and humility. By declaring her a saint, the Catholic Church honored her legacy, offering her as a shining example for future generations. Saint Teresa of Calcutta's message of love and compassion remains timeless, reminding us of the power of kindness in making the world a better place. Thanks for watching this video. While you're still here, check out the other videos you see on your screen.